begin. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This is our Precision Markets weekly office hours with your Precision Markets coaches, Nathan and Brian. We host these every Tuesday at 12 o'clock p.m. PST so that we can be able to answer any questions that you have and provide charts, any kind of visuals, and everything else that can help you to be able to make sure you get the most out of your trading. For those that are the first time joining in, the format is you'll ask questions inside the chat box, and then Nathan and myself will answer them in the order that they receive. Feel free to also come off mute when it's time for your question, but we ask that you just be respectful of other people when it's their questions or their time. So with that, we'll go ahead and begin. Feel free to ask your questions within the chat, and then we'll get to answering. Hopefully for tomorrow, though. Today definitely was it definitely was a kind of choppy day during the New York. The London moved so much, and then it kind of moved impulsively toward the end. So hopefully tomorrow. And this week we have an interesting week because we have ADP and then we have NFP at the end of the week. So we got some key news forecasts. And then, I heard yesterday also, I think the Australian government raised their interest rates up. And so that caused AUD USD to drop, but everything today seemed like it was dropping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, today was a bit of a mad one, to be honest. Bit crazy today. Sometimes it's best to stay out of the market whenever it's just messing about. Like New York session was just all rangy for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it decided to, drop and do its own thing. But I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. I was hoping to get into some nice clean moves today. But like you said, usually after a holiday as well, it's a little bit rangy. It's a bit messy, but to be honest, but
I agree with you. Tomorrow, I'm hoping to see more direction because today it seemed like right before it started in New York, a couple of pairs were just rangy. One move and then goes back to range, and then right when the London kill zone ended, then everything started moving.
Yeah, no, non-farm payrolls Friday will be good. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that's going to go.
Definitely. Y'all guys, any questions, guys? Feel free to come off mute if you'd like, and you can answer a question. You don't have to also type it in if you don't want. We're just over here chatting about the market and what it did today. If y'all have any charts, let me know. If you have any charts, let me know if you want to share. All right. Now, see, no questions at the moment. Caleb has a question. He asks, how would you have caught the AUD USD move today? All right, cool. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show y'all what I saw today, what I didn't do, and the reasons why I didn't do it. So, all right. So we had Australian dollar and looking, can y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So just looking at this from a 4-hour perspective, when we started the day, and let's see, pretty much the London, here's where New York started. Two things I always look at is market structure, and I'll also look at what does supply and demand show. So from a market structure standpoint, this had made a lower low, but one of the things I also had noticed is that here is where price was made the last supply zone. So I was expecting that we would get a leg kind of like this. So the price came in a lower high, a lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, but then it made a lower low. So my first test was saying, if it came up in here, could this possibly go down and make this low, wipe out this low, meaning it's a weak low, and we have a strong high? That was my bias for the day. So that's what I was kind of focused on, is saying, all right, I expect this low to go, so I'm just looking for sales all day today. So you come down to your 15-minute, and within your 15-minute, price had already moved. So this right here, this first line, that's the Frankfurt Open. This line right here was the London Open. So you got Frankfurt here. And then you have the London Open here. And if you look at the two, they really had, if you look at both of these things, then they really had kind of made very impulsive moves to go all the way down. And I was expecting that we get some type of momentum that will continue to keep it going. But what ended up happening, what I ended up seeing was this is kind of where I woke up at. And this pretty much was a supply zone right here. But this is still before I woke up. So this is 4 o'clock. Yeah. 4 o'clock my time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. This is where I woke up at. And price pretty much came into this spot here. I was looking for an entry in here. I took one. I ended up having a break even somewhere in here. This was the zone I was watching. And then this was the trade I took right here. At this point, I had moved my stop. Well, at that point, I had moved my stop loss to break even. I got broken out of that trade. Then,
Don't tell me it melted, did it?
oh, you'll see.
No.
I took another trade right here. From right here in this spot. Whenever it crossed through right here, I had moved to broke even.
No.
I got taken out of that trade.
Oh,
So
jeez.
after a third swipe, I don't test the same area 3 times. That's just a general rule of mine. And of course, that's the one that goes.
No.
Of course, it would be that one to go, right?
Oh God.
So at that point, I'm like, okay, at least I know sales are in.
At least you got direction, right?
Right. So at this point, we had broken. I think we had broken. Oh, I think one more candle. We had broken the low. And then just for just context perspective, this 7 o'clock right here, this is when the New York Open opens in my time. So this is the New York Open. And so at this point, I'm looking for it to break with a candle body right here. I think I got it. Yeah, we got it right here. So at this point now, I'm watching this little area for a potential sell. And then price did this. Price kind of hovered within this same little area. And so price did make this break. It wasn't really too impulsive. But if we go down to the 1 minute, we ended up getting a clean. I don't know if it's really say the word clean, but we ended up getting an entry spot. Hold on 1 second to make sure I look at the right spot. Where is my so weird. Yeah. I don't know what the charges did. It's something weird. Okay, there we go. Now the candle's looking right. Okay. And so within this spot, there was a nice seconds entry, but I missed this one. I would have taken this. And this went on and was a straight drop. Oh, my entry was somewhere like this. It would have been something like this. But then if you go back and look at the 15-minute, if you look at where price is doing, it's really rangy right now. And so what ended up happening, price stayed in the same little area. It went up one more time. There was another seconds entry right here. Let me go to the 1 minute.
Same happened on EU, man.
It was just, and I didn't want to partake in all this. So there was a nice like seconds entry right here. But I wasn't interested in playing within this range. So these would have been the 2 that I should have taken, but look at where price is moving, and you pretty much can draw a high and a low, and price really doesn't stay. All price did was stay in between it.
Yeah.
So price did this until right here is where you get the end of the London kill zone. So pretty much you're looking at it from the time of the New York Open all the way almost to the end of the London, New York crossover. Price stayed in the same area. And it wasn't very far from where right before pre-New York as well. It really just, like we were talking about earlier, the market today was very rangy. So, but yeah, so that would have been the trades I would have taken between AUD USD if I had to today. And it barely broke out of the range later today.
It's crazy that I thought it actually dropped. It was only EU that dropped another little bit at New York. I guess the rest of them also dropped. NAS dropped as well, right? For New York, or did it range?
NAS dropped and then it jumped right back up.
You see,
like it went. Yeah, it was dropping down all day, and then right after the open, the NASDAQ open, it just shot right up. But pretty much when you look at let me go to the 4 hour here. When you go to the 4 hour, from where it started was about right here. If you notice that one candle, well, between the London and all that, it jumped, and then from there it just kind of stayed. So it didn't really take out the low. Yeah. The low. I thought it would run the low, but I guess not. But I'm pretty sure all of this right here, this one candle, was the right decision. So that's what definitely caused that. So does that answer your question, Caleb?
Yes, thank you.
Does it make sense?
It does make perfect sense now, yes.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Feel free to respond in the chat, or you can chime in also off mute if you'd like. If you want us to review PA, you want to show charts, we also can enable where you can do screen sharing as well too. So yeah, the market really I think we'll see what happens for tomorrow, but I think every pair pretty much kind of had the same thing, and it was kind of the same story for EU as well too. I was trying to find something in this mess.
Yeah. I waited for that mess to be over until it broke that last low off that range. I was like, all right, let's see if we can find a continuation or something. Managed to catch something in there, but just there's no information to the left unless you're looking at the 4 hour. I was hoping I could get something on the 15, but it was a day that you can't be greedy. Either you take your 5 hours, or that's it. Simple as that, And sometimes greed gets the best of us, especially me today.
It definitely does. Guys. I was looking for a continuation myself. I was waiting for it to tap in. I had this zone, this zone mapped out, and then it wicked here, and I was looking for it I think on the 10-minute time frame. Let me see. Yeah. So as soon as it broke this low, I was waiting for it. And I forgot what I was doing right here. I think I was looking at AUD USD. I missed this one. And then by this time, this is 10:50. It was almost 10 minutes away from my waiting for my my end of the day. So by that time I'd already checked out because of all the choppiness we had received. So I was like, dang, I missed it.
I think where you wanted to enter, that was right beside mine. So it was as well.
Oh, wow.
Right there. Yeah.
All right. We got a question from Hassan asking, can you explain a chalk on 1 minute for entry? Sure. All right. So let's say, for instance, a lot of people's prerequisites is that price has to tap into some type of zone, right? And so let's say that it's going to tap into, like, you have a 1 minute zone. So what we look for when we're looking for a chalk is looking at market structure and just being able to figure out how do we find a reversal of the structure. So I'll give you an example. So here, see if I pull this up. All right. So when you look at price, the highest point that price makes is right here. This was a high point. And the reason why is because we have this wick and the price pulls back one candle. This wick is the higher of these two candles, which means that then once this wick is being passed, this ends up becoming a low, right? So when this low ends up going, most people will try one of two things. And it'll either be, for instance, when the candle wick is broken by a wick, or if the candle wick is broken by a body. So in this case, we'll just say that this wick was broken, right? So what that means is that then once we know from a structure standpoint, the low is broken, then we focus on looking at basically where is a supply or demand zone that would cause this move downward. So little trick, look at it from a line chart perspective. So if you look at it from the line chart, price went up, price went down, price made a higher point, and price broke. So what we know is that there's something within this kind of high point region that had to be some type of supply to break the last demand that was right here. So that means within this area, that's where we're interested of seeing for some reason to get into the market. So let me switch back to a candle. So with that being the case, let's see. With that being the case, I'm actually drawing by candles specific. Let me delete this orange one. So this would be the last kind of candle. This would be the area. Actually, let me do it a little bit differently. Let me draw it like this. I'm gonna highlight the box so that you can see it better. So this was the last buy candle before we sold, meaning that this could be a supply area in which we would look for us to be able to take an entry. And so if you end up putting, for instance, a limit order there and you cover the entire zone, plus you uncover something for spread, so maybe about 3 points, now we have a potential entry spot. And then you can set your target to wherever you want to be. So say, for instance, we set it for a standard of 1 to 5. Hold on a second. So when price comes in and taps into it, you're tapped into your trade or trade into your order, and then you just see what the market does, which in this case would have been a profitable trade. So what the chalk really represents is that from a structure perspective, where we were going from making high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, price comes back into here and price continues to go downward. Does this make sense? So when it breaks this low, that's the point where we name a chalk. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Okay, awesome. Oh, it looks like 2 people had the same question.
I have a question on that question quickly. Is that 1 minute within the 15-minute point of interest?
Yes. So this gray box represents, well, this was a 10-minute zone, but this represents a time frame somewhere in 10 to 15. And then we look for the chalk within that 1 minute for our potential entry. Because what it should signify, if you look at it from this 10-minute chart, price ended up making an impulsive move downward. It came back, it made another move downward, and it made a move back, and then it began a move downward again. Do you see that?
Yes.
So then the 1 minute, what the 1 minute signifies should be the point where we start to see price turn around and ultimately go in that direction that we're expecting.
Okay, I see you now.
Awesome. Awesome. And I think somebody else also had. Oh, Caleb, I think you had your hand up as well.
Yeah, that was for the question I just asked now.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Perfect.
Thanks.
No problem. All right, guys. Oh, we have another question from Seth. Can you look at the 1 hour US 30 chart? I believe there's a chalk flip there to wait for a break of structure and a pullback to demand. All right, let's take a look and see what we get. All right. So on the 1 hour chart, Seth, you can feel free to come off of mute if you want to draw and show us the area that you're referring to.
Hello.
Hey.
This is my first one of these, so
Welcome.
Yeah. Just zoom out a little bit. Just zoom out a little bit. Yeah, there for the left-hand side, you can see that double top over there was taken out. The candle close. No, the one that's like a drop base drop right here.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, the hourly did close above those highs, and it also closed above these lows right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in my eyes, like that's a chalk flip, right?
Well, Nathan, what do you think? I'll let you chime in, Nathan, then I'll chime in.
Yeah. So I feel like those equal highs were ran for liquidity, but I also like here. Let me just actually. Can you? I don't know. Can I clear these? Oh,
yeah,
eraser.
You can share your chart if you'd like as well too.
Oh yeah, I'm on my phone, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's just really busy in my house right now. You got a lot of family over.
No worries at all.
No, yeah. So what I was saying is, so like there's this drop base drop pattern, right? So it's indicating sell, so drop, right? The base and then the drop.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I read that is that once price activated that drop base drop, the supply there failed to create a lower low. And then we can see here that the supply failed to sell off again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they created that Chach flip for this equal high here, and they invalidated the selling structure. So I feel like that's a change of character. And then I guess the flip is here because they come back and they grab the inducement of the buying to continue their move upward. So they stopped out the sellers, then they stopped out the buyers. So that's a Chach flip, right?
Yeah. Well, basically what we can say here as well is if we look at the bottom here, right? So this is your change character here. So that's your low taken, your high taken here. That's the demand, right? And just like you said, we pulled back, we failed to take out the low. So that's correct. This is your demand here. Here's a little bit of liquidity, price taps in, continues higher to take out that liquidity that was built right here. Exactly what you said. And in the end, we actually failed to continue higher up to this one. So we ended up using this as liquidity. So everything you said is like perfect, as in like the chalk and flip. That was the main thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So my question is, so the other part of my question is, so now since we see this setup take place, do we have to wait for the break of structure? Like right here, do we have to wait for the BOS here and then wait for it to pull back into demand before we continue up?
I see what you mean. No, so basically, we've taken out this low at the moment. Price is looking kind of bearish too, right? So even buying from here could be a little bit of an issue. So just keep an eye on your higher time frame as well on the 4 hour. In regards to wanting to trade from a demand zone down here, you have a supply zone here, right? Do you see a little bit there? Once this fails, then you can look for buys off your demand here. You don't have to wait for you don't have to wait for a swing break. You can look for
that could be our target then.
Exactly. We can look for like internal structure or substructure, if you'd like to call it. That's enough of a break for us. Or if you trade a break of supply and demand, it's totally fine too. But this is a swing break here, so you wouldn't need to wait for that to go if you wanted to buy from this point here once this gets taken.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Just keep an eye on that higher time frame in case, because it's looking kind of bearish too.
Mm.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one in a long time. The drop base drop. I remember those from ages ago.
I was thinking the same thing. I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it in a while. I haven't heard that in a while. But did that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I think that like, yeah, it's like this internal break that you were showing me. That's the supply there. Yeah, that fills, then it comes back down. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, all we want to know is who is basically in control. That's it. So once the supplier demand zone fails, we get the indication then that, you know what, we can trade from what has just taken over. So that would be the first area there with the supply failing, that, you know what, demand is taken over. We could look for longs, but that has to be correlated with, you know, your higher time frame structure as well, and order flow too.
Yeah,
So
because I was watching that same demand, that same supply up there that you were watching, because there's that imbalance right here as well that needs to be filled. So I was curious to see that area hit, because there's also the bearish price action here, you know.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I mean, I know they're like, price definitely wants to go higher, but lots of times, like I'll be totally right on direction, and I'll totally fail at catching the entry, because I'll enter on like the 1 minute setups and then get manipulated out before like a beautiful move. And yeah, it's been a pain in my butt, but I've been trying.
Keep going, man. Keep going. You got it. You know what you're talking about.
Did that make sense about the chalk tooth for you though, Seth? I want to make sure we did answer
Yeah,
that question.
yeah, because I was just curious, because I know it's a pretty powerful concept, and I understand that like the higher time frames, like I've been doing a lot of low time frame stuff, but I'm just tired of getting manipulated out. So I've been trying to watch a higher time frame perspective, because I want to catch those really beautiful moves that, you know, can net you, you know, like $500 to $1,000, because, you know, US 30 moves 500, like $1,000 frequently. So
And all of its market structure. Just keep that in mind. All chalk tells you to do is that when price is making moves. So when price is making a change of direction, it's the first sign of the change. So if you go from this high to here to this high to here to this high to here, and then price ends up coming back, it's broken past the last high where it was already making lows. And now you see price coming down into a region where if it was to continue lower, it would continuation the trend, but it doesn't. And then you see price ends up breaking.
So
That's
you can
all.
use that same invalidation, like, so like this level here that you, hold on, let me put my pen out.
Mhm.
So this level right here, right? So could you do the same thing right here? It takes it out. So then you could be expecting to buy at this demand here.
You could, yeah. This
Because then you'd be
can.
targeting that high there.
Mm-hmm. So price ends up coming across this high. This would be considered more internal, so it comes in here. Hold on a second. Let me clear up everything first. Okay.
Yeah, let me erase my stuff too. There you go.
Price comes in here. Price makes this pullback. Price comes down here, and then price kind of, when price breaks here, you can use this you could use this area as demand, so that price comes down here and taps and breaks this low. I mean, breaks this high right here. So you look at your demand to be this area.
Yeah, and I see that's a smart money wick area too. Like it looks like it comes all the way down to the wicks for the demand. Yeah, that's cool though. Yeah, no, yeah. I should pay attention to that internal structure more. Because lots of time I'll just see that as a sweep and I'll look to sell it, and then when it reverses on me, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, I mean, keep in mind too, just keep in mind where you have supplies and demand. So here was the demand area too. Price had already broken this. This is, you want them. One of the things I do is I look for just most recent and fresh zones, right? So you already had this, price comes down and does this. So you have it gets kind of tricky when you start saying it for me and like internal, but this really was like an internal supply because it broke this low. It comes into this demand. You see that the demand holds. It comes back to the supply. You get a somewhat reaction, but what happens is the demand was still strong enough because this is probably the more recent demand. Price breaks through the supply, and you have one or two areas you have here and here. Price ends
So
up breaking through that demand, but it
yeah,
comes back to tap into this demand, and then it ricochets up.
so we can anticipate that move because it failed to take out the low. So we know that that high where that supply is a weak high.
Mm-hmm.
So then the close is what also signals like it closes it in that area. So that also is like an indicator to us like it wants to buy up. So when it goes back to demand, we could have anticipated that shift, that whole shift right here, that shift market. I don't know. It's more of a pattern, I guess, that you drew out. But yeah, I got to start doing that on my charts, drawing it out with the lines because it looks easier to read.
Yeah, and always a trick that I use is if you can't tell, just turn to a line chart, and then it starts becoming really. You can see low, low, low taken, high stops, reaction, high taken, comes back and taps into this area.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny. I actually see one of Rob's setups. It took the inducement there. Yeah. Hold on. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
It took inducement right there, and then absolutely flew. And look how like powerfully it came to that. Like that's a master candle sell signal. And then, but it was just to grab inducement. So they like tricked sellers there. And then everyone who was selling was going against the order flow of like the hype of like maybe like the bankers. Cause like it looks like, I don't know. That's cool though. I don't know. I cause that area, like I got fucked up in that area. I'm not gonna lie. So I had a pretty bad, I'm gonna say a pretty terrible week last week. So I was getting all kinds of messed up in this area. Like it was pretty bad. Like I was in this cell. I was up 3.5% from this area right here. I was up 3.5%. And when the market totally reversed on me, like I tried to sell, and I tried to add more sell positions too. So I ended up losing like excuse me. I ended up losing like 2% on the trade and getting hit out on break even when I could have just secured 3%, and it was a good trade. It was like I was targeting 15R and it reached 7R. And I don't know. I was just hoping for the lows to be taken and secure. But as you see, like I never got there and straight blew me out. And I was pretty sad because I really needed that 3%. So yeah, I was just curious because I've been watching this 1 hour chart and I've gotten tricked already. Like I want to say three times. It's like pretty solid.
Well,
like 3 times where I got to move, but it just goes against me. So that's why I was wondering. I just have some questions on this chart because, like, I know a lot of people do the 4 hour, 1 hour, 15. Try to break it down into like 3 different time frames, and sometimes I just feel like I'm really confused. Like mostly why I joined is because I think I'm having trouble understanding expectational order flow. But I'm new and I feel like, I'm gonna keep learning. So I think what you explained to me was good. And I feel like after that being explained to me, it shifted my mindset to where I can actually see where I went wrong. So I appreciate that.
Oh no, not a problem at all. And welcome to the community. I mean, you'll find that most of everything that we do is based upon just 2 theories: supply and demand, and market structure. And if you follow the 2 really closely, it's going to help you no matter what time frame you choose. Because the whole thing about the market is it's fractal, meaning if it does it on the 4 hour, it does it on the 15, it does it on the 1 minute, it does it on the 1 hour. It's all the same. You just have to have a understanding that where one thing goes, hold on a second, where am I? Oh, there it goes. So for instance, I'll show you this. If price ends up making a move downward like this, right? And if I go down to the 15-minute, what did the 15-minute chart do? So the 15-minute chart went from here to here, pull back here, down here. but ultimately, directionally, where is it going?
It's going down.
Right. So what you look for is essentially spots where price comes in from supply and demand and taps into your region so that you can take trades off of. That's all
Right.
that's all we pretty much ultimately do. It's just finding it. And the combination of time frames, you can decide how you want to make those combinations. But that's ultimately kind of what a majority of what we do. So I'll give you another example here. If price is going to make this impulsive move upward from a 4-hour perspective, we'll look at 15-minute. And what did 15-minute do?
Yeah, it went up. it made a bullish structure. Well, right there, it consolidated after it took out that high. But yeah, it kept running.
Yep.
There's the reversal right there. Yeah.
So if you keep an idea of directionally where you're going from a higher time frame, you're more likely going to be on the right side of the market, even when the market doesn't move. Because what I was trying to point out is that the market never moves in a straight line. It looks like it's a straight line from a higher time frame, but where you can get caught up in the weeds is when it makes a move. But if you pay attention to it, every time it breaks, like here's a chalk right here, this is a demand zone. So it chalks here. You have a demand taps into
I wouldn't have read that. This is how I would have read that. See, I see my problem already. Look, I would have read this as a liquidity sweep, right? There's a demand zone here at a so I would call this like a stop hunt, right? Break market structure, and then an RTO, right here. And that double top, I would have definitely tried to sell that all the way down to like this low and take out this demand buying structure right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it'll totally reverse on me. Like it's just so disappointing because like that's a good trade, and like I don't know, I'm not very confident, and I don't risk a lot. Like most of the time, I'm only risking 0.5%, and even when the trade goes against me, it's just disappointing because I was right, but then I end up being wrong because I didn't. I don't know. I just feel like I'm just not reading. I'm not being, I guess, flexible. I'm not flexible enough to see that, even though the sellers here were, active, I didn't see there's the internal break, right? We do have the sell off, but it comes straight into demand and doesn't even take the low. So like that was a perfect demand area where I wouldn't have been manipulated. So,
yeah, but see, from here, this is why it's important to have a higher time frame and a higher time frame bias, because even though you could have been looking to take sales, if this is the direction that the 4-hour was going, so even though sales could be taken, it was more likely that buys would be in, and sales temporarily took over, but ultimately buys ended up having the momentum that carried it for the longer haul. That's why we say direction is the most important thing in trading. It's not how tight your stop loss is. It's not, how tight your entry can be. It's really what direction is the market going. If you get that right, you're gonna be profitable for a long time, and you'll have less losses and more wins.
Hey man, that's the dream.
Yeah. But definitely we'll ask more questions, but definitely feel free to continue to ask questions in the chat and more as you have things, and we'll be glad to share any kind of tips and tricks that also help.
All right, I appreciate it. So your name is Brian, right?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Brian,
Brian.
and you got Nathan as well too.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen. I was following Rob for a while, so I got to see some of your guys' trades too. He shares them on his story.
Awesome.
Welcome
to the community.
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't really dedicated myself to any community. I've just been on my own for the past 2 years, and I studied ICT, and then I studied SMC, and I found I'm funded with FTMO. I haven't had a payout yet, and I feel like ever since I got funded, I've just been like lackluster trading, and so I was like, I need to invest in myself because I can't handle this losing streak I'm on.
Don't worry, my friend. We plan to make this to be your last frontier, so you won't have to go anywhere else. And we're looking at hopefully for the change of tide for you. As long as you're willing to do the work, we're willing to share every insight that we can possibly do to help you. And we're glad that you chose us to be in the community.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. We got one more question from Hussein. Apologize if I said your name wrong. You have a question about a chart. You wanted to have us look at this chart. What questions do you have on the chart on regarding your chart? Feel free to let us know in the chat, or you can come off mute. You're asking, are you in the right direction? So, I mean, don't trade 5 minute. I'm not exactly sure what your higher time frame basis is, but let me just go ahead and just pull in really quickly a higher time frame chart, and then I'll have either Nathan and I myself both chime in. So from a 4-hour perspective, what I'm looking at is that from a 4-hour perspective, we just made a lower low on EU. So if you look at this candle right here, it hasn't closed just yet. We still got an hour to go, but it would appear to me that price wants to make a pullback into maybe this supply and then continue downward. So for the time being right now, for me, I'd be looking for a bullish bias. Price already made a chalk. Well, it broke this last demand zone right here. I mean, sorry, supply. So this was the supply. And for me, price came down, did this, it reacted. It didn't have enough to take out that low. And then price now is broken through. So now I would be thinking that price is going up into maybe this region somewhere. What do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, totally agree on that. Looks like we're expecting a pullback. The first sign of the pullback is the change character on the 15M, which you marked out there. And yeah, we could be going back up to that 4-hour supply. Especially the way that little range was built. It wasn't really built too well. The liquidity wasn't really swept either before it broke structure. You kind of have this, these, let me see, where is this friggin' tool? Let's see. The way it broke from here, we don't really have any sweep up here. This takes out the high of that, but doesn't really sweep anything. They look like equals too. Like the whole way this range is built, to me, this is just going to be used as liquidity at some stage. And yeah, definitely for sure that 4-hour, we could be coming back to see it, to be honest. I'd be very weary of taking any sort of shorts without seeing some sort of momentum or some sort of intention, maybe some breaks of demand at least. I think we're coming up here, man.
Yeah,
to be honest.
This would be the first demand I'd be watching right here.
Yeah.
To see if this demand goes. And if this demand goes, I maybe would consider short, but from a 4-hour perspective, it's more high probability it's going to come back into maybe a supply zone or somewhere within this region, because it made such an impulsive move down, that it kind of needs to pull back to gain momentum if it's to continue downward.
Yep. That's why you look for confirmations too. So even if you have that 5M zone open, you want to be looking for your confirmations, I believe, on the 1M, unless you're trading. Is he trading directly off the 5M? Is it like a risk entry?
Do you do just 5M, Hussein? Feel free to let us know in the chat.
Yeah, like if he's trading off that 5M zone and then looking for some confirmation on the 1M, that's totally fine as long as you look for some confirmation. But to trade off it with a risk entry, I don't think it's a great idea. Just because we put in that new low, we have taken a lot of liquidity and we've tapped into external liquidity too. So we are due a pullback, No one time frame, but refined zone using 5 from 15 to 5. So it's a risk entry then. Yeah, just be careful on that, man.
Yep.
Just remember that with order flow, when you put in a new low, expect a pullback, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions. And Lively Butch. Thanks to for even our new timers and first time people here. We hope y'all got a lot of value out of the office hours. In case you wanted to review anything that we discussed today, it's going to be up. Rob will let us know in the announcement section when it's up. If you have questions that you didn't get a chance to have answered, or if you think of things even after this phone call, don't hesitate to go into the questions part of Discord and ask questions. We'll gladly answer anything we can. And then also, we have a phone call on Thursday. So we have a call every Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with Rob. We'll have our Power Hour, Thursday Power Hour call. So don't forget that. And then Sundays, we have our back testing session. So we alternate between coaches and members within the community to do back testing. And it's a great way for you to be able to get some hands-on trading. We as coaches will be there on the call to kind of guide you, provide some insights, but it helps you can really get more confident in your trading if you're looking for more opportunities. And also, don't forget the last way that you can take advantage of this community is that we offer one-on-one coaching. So Rob, Nathan, and myself can be booked for hour-long increments, or we can go through whatever that you want to. Any kind of different topics, anything that you want to learn, anything you want to structure. We try to give you as much as we can within the hour time frame, as much as our knowledge to get you on the right path. So definitely don't forget to sign up for our coaching sessions. You can find more information about that with our coaching calendars, where it goes into the coaching section on Discord. So until we talk again, guys, it's been a fun conversation. We look forward to seeing you in Discord and wish you the best of luck in your trading, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Nathan.